on the bulletin. So let's move the conversation forward a little bit. What these coup leaders promise is to return the country to constitutional rule, and they usually use when the conditions are right. Now, that barely happens, and how do they get to know when the conditions are right? And it is usually delayed.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, how do they know? They never get to know. And the truth is that the moment they position themselves into power, then they tend to believe that the people invariably support them. They have 100% of the people support, or largely the people support them, and therefore trying to give power becomes a challenge. Even with us, you know, anyone who saw the SMC 1-2 before Rawlings came and eventually came back again in 1983, tells us that they don't give power that easy. It took a lot of back and forth with, those out there who support us to get Rawlings, the late former Rawlings, to agree for us to go back to constitutional rule. And so we can say probably we have been largely ex-Sussex when it comes to military, a transition from military to civilian. Nigerians have also, but these countries I'm talking about are largely Anglophone. They are largely Anglophone. And so as far as I'm concerned, it looks like we seem to have a very weak ECOWAS. And once ECOWAS is weak, chances are that you are going to be seeing these things happening.
We'll get to the link between the three we've witnessed in the past year and the link they have with French, with France. They are French-speaking countries predominantly. But let's talk about the promise to return to constitutional rule. Is it that it's only something they say, and we're also looking at why they instigate these coups? What they tell us is, do they believe that they have some sort of magical wand to turn the fortunes of the country around when they see a problem? They think the military thinks they are the only group of persons to solve it. And is that the case?
No, it is not the case. And you see, most of the coups we have seen in this part of the world is a creation of a certain civilian order.
Okay.
If you come into our own backyard, some of us have been advocating to have the military perform military functions. The more you draw the military into the governance space, the more you draw them in there, then they get to taste how power is sweet. Because then, if you look at the back and forth, the Speaker of Parliament and the executive recently, and we are told the EC is surrounded by military officers. We are told the Attorney General is surrounded, and it has to be corrected. Some of these people are surrounded by military officers. You begin to make these people, the military, who are not supposed to be in the governance space in terms of in leadership, in terms of leading civilians, begin to be part of the process. Once you inculcate that thing in their minds, then they begin to see themselves as saviors to the people's problem. They are the only alternative that would come to ensure that things are done. And so that thing is still there with us. And so when you see people misbehaving, even in this country, the first thing most people say, bring the military to come and get rid of them. Once you begin to look at them that way, then it means that when you have corrupt leaders, instead of dealing with them, call it in a more civilized, legal manner, taking them through the process.
Okay.
The military see themselves to be the only option that can dispose of a corrupt, government.
That's how they see themselves. But is that what they actually do when they come in power? Answer that briefly.
No,
and I'll see my next question.
They are not. They come and they are worse off than what they came to meet. If you look at Yahya Jammeh and the rest, these are persons who came in the back of, we want to deal with the challenges, and eventually they were never able to deal with it. Anyone should give me one clear example of a military dictatorship within the sub-region where you say it became, the best. No, we've never had anything like that.
There are sanctions on countries that have coup happening to them by the bloc they are members of. Is it that these sanctions are not deterrent enough? We've had one in Mali, we've had one in Guinea, we're seeing another in Burkina Faso. They were all sanctioned in a way. Is it that ECOWAS, the sanctions ECOWAS imposes on these are not deterrent and they encourage more coups?
No, I just think ECOWAS doesn't have what it takes to even enforce these sanctions. It doesn't have what it takes. If you say goods are not supposed to cross, do we even have borders? I mean, you only go to Hamile, just a makeshift border, and the remaining of the, that enclave, people come in and out. And so, as far as I'm concerned, even though the sanctions should have worked, you have a hypocritical ECOWAS that seem to be coming up with, what do you call it, these sanctions. You look at someone like Alassane Ouattara. He changed the constitution to favor him. So if you send somebody like Alassane Ouattara to go to a neighboring country that is agitating to dispose of their civilian leader, they'll be looking at you and thinking, hello, who have you just sent to us?
Yeah, what moral rights?
I mean, what moral right has he got to come and, tell us what we should do? And so mine is that you go in there at the ECOWAS, the head of states, when they sit, and you can find examples of these leaders who seem to be sanctioning, other rogue, states not having the locals to do that. And so as far as I'm concerned, they lack capacity. When I say capacity, the moral capacity to do that. And so you will do it. And now we seem to be having every quarter, we have one, coup.
Yeah, or a threat of coup.
A threat of coup or a coup. We have, in the last 8 months, we have had 3 successful ones. So it's safe to say every quarter, we are encountering 1 coup per quarter.
Okay.
And so maybe in the next quarter, we are going to have 1. So in 12 months, we'll have 4 coups. Who knows where it's going to be next? And so this is our virtual meeting. If the physical meetings are not producing anything substantial, then we have a challenge. And it has to do with unemployment, corruption on high level. There are diverse things that are happening.
Okay.
You take terrorism. Most of these coups that have happened within that space has to also do with complaints about the state not resourcing the military. Therefore, when we come, we'll be able to deal with terrorism.
Dr.